Showtime.
Never thought I'd be the girl sitting, waiting here at home, waiting by the phone. Maybe today or next week he'll call me, or maybe he won't. I don't know where he's at, but I have to be okay with that.
Welcome everyone to the Rosie and Bill show. Sometimes true musical talent simply can't be denied, even when it comes from a sleepy fishing town like Brookings, Oregon. Now, those aren't my words. Those were the words of Grammy Award-winning artist Gretchen Wilson when describing our guest this week. Please welcome to the Rosie and Bill show the pride of Brookings, Oregon, and proud supporter of the great men and women who serve our country, Jessie G. Jessie, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, how are ya?
Hi, Jessie.
Fantastic.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, it's our pleasure, Jessie. And we've got a whole lot that we want to try to cram into this episode. So I'm just going to jump right in. And what I thought might be neat is to kind of start with the beginning, let's say. So your hometown, the family business, your upbringing, and how they all kind of came together to shape the person that you are. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I mean, for those of you who don't know, I'm from 4 generations of commercial fishermen. So for 4 generations, since the 1950s, we have been fishing Dungeness crab, albacore tuna, Chinook salmon, and lots of other stuff, but those are our main seasons. And if you know anything about the fishing business, it's a really like crazy industry to be in. It's feast or famine. It's scary. A lot of people get lost at sea. It's it's one of the top dangerous jobs out there. So, growing up in that environment, I feel like really made me who I am today. Obviously, I had needed money in college, so I'd go home and I'd bait on the boat or I'd drive the boat, and I'd do all the dirty work just to earn a couple $100s to be able to go back to school and, afford to eat and buy books and stuff. And I'm really proud of where I come from. I feel like when you do something like that and you're in that lifestyle where it's like you're either poor and you don't have anything for Christmas and your family's just making it work and just barely getting by, or crab season's amazing and we were able to be spoiled and go on lavish trips to Disney World. It was just always up and down growing up. And I think that really made me who I am, and it really made me get thick skin and be able to handle later now being in the music business, because really they go hand in hand. It's like the same kind of thing. And it's both being self-employed. When you're a commercial fisherman, you're self-employed. You have to really get a handle on, saving up for taxes and, employing other people and 1099ing and like all those things. And just every day is a hustle. Every day you got to think, what can I do today that will get me to tomorrow? And you take every day and you make it, you don't take it for granted. So I'm very proud of where I come from. And I'm very proud just to have a family that works so hard for what they do. And, when I see people go out and eat seafood and they don't really appreciate it, it's hard for me because, I was just, I know the blood, sweat, tears, sacrifice, and all of that it takes to be a fisherman. And it is not for the faint-hearted, that's for sure. So yeah, a little bit about where I come from, and a little small town in Brookings, Oregon. Also very small town, helped shape me because I was able to be a big fish in a little pond for a long time. And I think that really helps create my big personality that I have as an artist and as a person. And I'm grateful for it. I was always on boys teams and sports, and I was always trying to compete for everything, even not just music, but just everything. And it made me a well-rounded person that later on ended up helping me with the competitive edge and all that I needed when getting into the music industry. Went to college for music and just tried to study and hone my craft and really just, be the best I could be before entering into the career force. Because as you guys know, I'm sure you talk to tons of artists every week. If everyone could do it for a living, they would, because it's such a fun, beautiful, fulfilling job. You get to go out there and make people happy. You get to go out there. People spend their vacation with you. They spend their hard-earned money to relax and have fun and unwind with you. And to be able to have that job, it's just such an amazing, fulfilling thing. And so, but that comes with the other side of it. Like, it's very hard, and, it's not always amazing. There's a lot of ups and downs. A lot of people are going to tell you no. A lot of people are going to tell you you're not good enough. And you just got to keep trucking and just keep moving along. So
I'm going to interrupt you for a second, because I'm going to tell you that if someone tells you you're not good enough, something is wrong with them. Because you are phenomenal, sister. I'm telling you. I watched your stuff and my jaw dropped open. It does sound like your upbringing was a great lesson in adversity, and probably did help you, or does help you, to handle, like you said, the feast or famine of the music industry and of the entertainment industry in general. My question to you is this: as someone who does not like creepy crawly things, do you have to bait the hooks with worms?
Commercial fishing is a completely different ballgame. I've only done mostly crabbing, and with crabbing you have bait jars, and if you think worms are gross, you're gonna think that this is way more disgusting. It's just like, it comes in a frozen block, and then you got to cut it up, and then by the end of the day it's melting because the sun's out, and so you're smelling like the rotting bait smell, and then you're washing out old bait jars that get brought onto the boat, and that's even more gross because they've been in the ocean for weeks, months. So it's, you wouldn't like it.
You take baths in tomato juice? I mean, how do you get that smell?
It really does follow you around. When I go back home, I'm always like, I'm home.
Do you have a big family, like a lot of siblings?
I have 2 siblings. I'm the oldest. I have a younger brother, a younger sister. My brother's the captain of the boat now. My dad just handed over the reins, and so he's got a big job.
Now, one thing I wanted to ask you about, because you touched on so much with that answer, and I really appreciate everything you said. And one of the things you talked about was competition. Now, there was a particular competition, a battle of the bands, that ended up with you being introduced to someone pretty special who's been pretty involved with your career up to and including now. So tell us how that all came about.
Yeah, I mean, man, I feel like there's a lot of things that happen in our lives that are just God's plan, and they're just meant to be. And that was one of them. It's so crazy to think about, because growing up as a little girl, or not just a little girl, but I hate saying that because Gretchen's like, you're making me feel old. But so growing up, I would sing Gretchen Wilson songs all the time to enter into competitions and win them. She was mostly who would always pick. I'd either sing a Gretchen Wilson song or a Dixie Chicks song. And when I was building my website, when I took music more serious later in life, I pulled up her website, and I told my aunt, who was a coder and would help me build websites, I'm like, hey, I want it like Gretchen's. I want to be like that girl that sings about real stuff. Like it could be a dude song and a girl singing it. Like she was that artist for me. And she was very like on the edge of rock and country. And that to me was something that just doesn't happen anymore. You know, it still doesn't happen really anymore. And so she just inspired me my whole life. And I'm talking about Gretchen Wilson, everyone who's wondering. And then when I graduated college, I moved to Portland, Oregon, and that was the first city I'd ever lived in. And I got to know the local country radio station, 98.7 The Bull. And one day I saw that they posted that they were having Gretchen Wilson come to Oregon, and they were going to have her play at a bar called Duke's. And they messaged, or I was like, oh my gosh, like, let me know more details. She's one of my favorite country artists. I really would like to meet her. And then they messaged me back. They're like, hey, we're going to have a battle of the bands and the winner gets to open up for her. So you should do it. And so put all my eggs in that basket. I was like, I'm winning this thing. I'm meeting her. I'm going to hang out with her. We're going to be friends. It's going to be great. So, you know, fast forward, we won the competition. I got to open up for her and I hadn't really seen her all night. Finally, she comes on stage, watch her show. And it was like such an amazing night. And then after the show, I thought to myself, I gotta get back there and I gotta at least just be like, hey, like meet her. Just if that's the most I do, whatever. So went backstage and I just kind of like waved at her and I was like, hey, can me and my family come hang out? And she was like, sure, come on, whatever, come hang out. So I brought my whole family back there and we sat on a picnic table with her, and her and I, we had some adult beverages and we sang a bunch of songs, and we just until I think 2-3 in the morning just hung out and talked all night long. And you know, when you meet somebody and you just know they're going to be friends, that was that. It was like I met her, we clicked. She was like a kindred spirit. And after that night, she gave me her email address and she's like, hey, if you ever get out to Nashville, Tennessee, because I asked her, let me back up. I asked her if I want to do this for real, if I want to be a country music artist like you, win a Grammy, have a #1, how do I do that? And she was like, you need to move to Nashville. You can't do it in Oregon. There's just no way. There's a ceiling in Oregon. Like it's, you know, it's not going to happen here. So you need to move to Nashville. And so, man, I took that advice very seriously. Before I left, I recorded like kind of like an album project thing because I just wanted to have something to show her when I got there. And I just kept emailing her and she didn't respond a few times, but I was persistent and it would always be with something new. I wasn't trying to annoy her. And then you know how that can get. You can't say the same thing over and over. And so one email, I go, hey, I'm coming out to Nashville. Would love to see you, whatever. And she was just like, finally hit me back. And she's like, yeah, come to my home studio. So went out there and same thing. We just hit it off. We spent all night having fun and singing and telling stories, and mostly me listening to her stories because they're awesome. And yeah, like I showed her that music that I recorded and she was so impressed that I had put, you know, all my eggs in the basket. I recorded an EP to show her. I came prepared and I was like, I will move like next month. Like, and she was like, you know, I just started this record label. I'm getting serious about signing artists. So if you're really serious about this, you know, we could probably work together. And it was never like a for sure anything. So, you know, I had to move on my own. I had to move because I wanted to. I couldn't move just because I knew her, you know, whatever. I had to like make sure I was going to do it on my own no matter what. So yeah, I went back home, and Nashville, as you guys know, is such an amazing, cool city. And I was like, I'm moving. There's no way. I've never felt like I wanted to live anywhere in my life. I felt like that about Nashville. Moved, packed up my car, sold a bunch of crab and tuna and salmon at a fish market, saved up like $3,000 and stuffed my car to the roof and drove all the way out to Nashville, Tennessee. It took me 4 days because Oregon is very far from Nashville, Tennessee. And the rest is history. I mean, Gretchen's one of my best friends. If you listen to my music, she's singing the background vocals on everything. I wrote a lot of my songs with her. I've been on tour with her, for years up until pandemic hit. And man, I love her, and I just feel like God put her in my life, and she's been one of the most important and impactful people that I've ever been in my life. So I'm blessed. You don't hear stories like that anymore, and I'm really blessed that that's one of mine.
Well, Jessie, I'm sure God did put her in your life, but you also had to do the work, and you started out by just dreaming the dream and then taking the steps to make it happen and manifest. I mean, there was no accident. You built that energy to have this happen. And the fact that, you are now working with her, well, to me, that's a lesson in really the importance of visualization and making a plan and taking steps and all of those things that like you said, take a lot of work and commitment and discipline and talent. Of course, she wasn't going to work with you and say, hey, yeah, maybe you can be on my label if you didn't have that talent. But congratulations to you on that. That is a great story. When Bill first phrased that question, I read the question and I thought, oh, did she meet her husband? Like, what is this about? So I love that. That is a great story. But now you talked about, how you became the person you are, but you're about to become something else. Talk to us about what's coming up.
You mean that I'm 9 months pregnant?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm about to become a mom. It's crazy. I'm so excited. I don't think I've ever been more excited about anything in my life. I know that they say when she gets here, it'll be even more life-changing, just seeing her for the first time and holding her. But it's already been life-changing, feeling her kick every day. She's rolling around right now. And wow, it's the most amazing feeling I've ever experienced. And my husband's super excited too. We actually just got married this year too. So it's been like, boom, boom, lots of milestones for us personally.
You're glowing.
Thank you. How can I not? I'm so excited.
Well, you wrote a beautiful song that, you released called Rainbow Lullaby. Talk to us about the inspiration for that. And also, how did you have the strength to do it?
Oh, yeah. So our little one coming next month is a rainbow baby. We got pregnant 2 times last year. And actually almost exactly a year ago was we were struggling through our second miscarriage. And it was one of the toughest times I had ever had in my life. So it was the toughest time I've ever had in my life. When you get that pregnancy test and you get super excited and you start fantasizing about having a family, starting a family, it is unlike anything. And to have that taken away, it's just crushing. And took me a very long time to heal from losing both of the babies. The first time along, we were not very far along, so it still was really hard. But the second time we were a lot farther, and so it was much harder to deal with. And for a long time, I couldn't talk about it. Most people didn't know about it until we released this song. And one day I went over to a friend's house, Gwen Sebastian. She's an amazing artist and songwriter. And I just opened up to her about it. I couldn't hold it in. I'm the kind of songwriter that everything about me. And that's just who I am as a person. And a lot of crying. And we had a few glasses of wine. And I just told her everything. I was like, hey, this is what we've gone through. And this is how hard it's been for me. And we started writing this song, Rainbow Lullaby. This song was such a big part of my healing. I don't know how I would have healed without it. even singing it at shows and live, I just started singing it live, and we wrote it a year ago, and it's hard to get through. I can barely look up from the microphone. I actually don't. I just close my eyes and sing it, and I just sing it to my angels up above. And but after going through that healing process, and after writing this song, and I didn't even know if I was going to record it for a while, because it was one of those things where it was too close to me. It was too personal. And it's weird to put something out like that's personal for other people to hear when you're just not ready. And then it got to a point where I was ready. And I think a lot of the reason why I felt ready was because I started having friends that were going through the same situation that would call me, and they would cry to me, and they would tell me, and I would be strong for them. And after going through that, and also talking with other moms and wives that had been through it too, and everything, it gave me the strength, and it gave me, I just knew that this was something we don't ever talk about. And this is something that, you know, someone's going to need to listen to in a time of really darkness and hurting and pain. And that's why we decided, you know what, we're going to put it in the world, and we're going to put it out there, and whatever happens with it, I just want it to be there. I want it to be there for other people. I want it to heal other people and be just a light for them, because it was for me.
Right.
And yeah, that's just a little, I don't even know what I said just now. I kind of just went. So I hope I answered that.
You did beautifully.
Yeah, you did. And you know, Jessie, I really think you are helping a lot of other people with what you put out. And I know Rosie and I both looked at the TikTok video that just was put out, you know, a few days ago. And again, everything you're saying in that video, everything you said in your answer, and everything in the lyrics in the song, I think you are making a difference, a huge difference for everyone who hears it. So, you know, kudos to you for doing that. And, you know, I just, you've, like you said, from early on, from your upbringing, just the way you just continue on, and you always seem to have a positive attitude and make the best of things. And there's something to be said for that. And I wanted to ask you though, switch gears just a little bit, because there was something I heard again from Gretchen about you that really struck me, and it was pretty powerful stuff. I believe it was on the carpet, I think at CMA Awards from like 2019 maybe, and Gretchen, during the course of the interview with the two of you standing next to each other, she said, there have been 3 redneck women, Tanya Tucker, myself, and Jessie G. And I'm watching that going, whoa, that's like royalty. How does it feel to be mentioned in the same sentence with those icons?
Yeah, when she said that, I was like, woo, all right. And that's out in the world for everyone to hear. Okay.
I heard it.
It's pretty amazing. And also, if you know Tanya, like, oh man, that's a really big honor. So yeah, you know, I think when we just would hang out, and she knew I could hang, and she just, man, I mean, she's my best friend. So if that doesn't say it, I don't know what else will. But yeah, I mean, it is a big honor, you know. Yeah, and I wouldn't want to be in that situation or in a different crowd. I wouldn't want to be with anybody else. So I feel pretty blessed about it.
Well, congratulations. One more quick question before we sign off here. On a completely different note, you have referred to your husband as a cheesehead. How did he feel? How thrilled was he that you sang the national anthem at the Packers game recently?
Oh my gosh, I don't know who was more excited, him or me. He's from Green Bay, so he's obviously a Packer fan. And I mean, you can't really not be if you live in Green Bay. You like donate a penny of every dollar that you spend to the Packer team. But yeah, so he was so pumped. We all wore military, the military jersey that had I had Devonte Adams, he had Aaron Rodgers. All the family had a different number, which was really cool. And yeah, it was such a good experience singing I was 8.5 months pregnant when I sang that. So that was a challenge, but a challenge that makes me so proud that I was able to do that. There were like 88,000 people there. So it was definitely, it was a really amazing moment. And I had a flyover, a bunch of Navy pilots were there and they did a flyover during my high note at the very end. When I sang Free really high, the flyover happened and there was fireworks going off, and it was one of the coolest moments in my music career.
O'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
No, you did a phenomenal job. And I mean, let's face it, so many people over the years have sung the national anthem at big games like that. And that was, you know, one of the best I've ever heard. The video is fantastic. And folks, whether you go to Jessie's Facebook page or her website, that video, along with a lot of others, are there. And whoever was filming it did kind of tilt the camera up. You can see the jets fly over as you hit that high note, because I saw that. And I spent several years in Wisconsin and spent a lot of time in and around the Green Bay area about 15 years ago. Some of the nicest people. Yeah. And also, Rosie and I are from the Philadelphia area, where we love our Philadelphia Eagles.
No.
The people in Wisconsin, yeah, they love their Packers. Everywhere they love their Packers. So that's a really big deal.
It is. It was cool. I mean, we're definitely going to do it again. They said we're going to be back. So, yeah.
Well, that's terrific. And you won't be, hopefully, 8.5 months pregnant.
Yes. And hopefully it'd be easier to breathe when I sing. Yep.
Right. Well, Jessie, this has been such a treat. Thank you so much for joining us. And we wish you all the best in your music career and in the new little bundle that you and your husband are going to have, and all, you know, a great delivery and perfect health and all of that. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Rosie and Bill. Thank you for having me.
And one last thing, if you can, thank your husband for us for his service. We really appreciate it. We get to do what we do because he's doing what he does.
Amen to that.
Folks, thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
Thank you.
Like reading the verses in old King James, those words in red won't ever change. Like forever love just wants to stay. I want us to be that way. Like Johnny only born in June, Elvis singing blue suede shoes. Timeless, never going out of style. Baby, you and I, we're classic. One of a kind, where once in a life it happens. We found it, we're timeless. Like a black and white memory in a picture frame. Years go by, but it don't fade. Like singing along to Amazing Grace, a soul getting saved when the preacher prays. The gold that's wrapped around our hands, a promise that won't ever end. Timeless, never going out of style. Baby, you and I, we're classic. One of a kind, where once in a life it happens. We found it, we're timeless.